Right, good morning. It is still the Ultimate Money Show here on Repower 100.5 FM. Welcome back to the Abuja studio. And as we promised at this time, it is time for us to check out the papers. I say we because I know we are not just food, but we are food in the house. Very food in the house. My name is Dima, and I'm not alone here.
Good morning, people of God. Again, it's nice for you.
All right, good morning, Abuja residents. I don't know, I said people of God.
That was what she said in the
That's what I
morning.
said
What if
earlier.
some people who are listening do not worship any God?
People
You know,
of God
there
and
it
people
is.
of Allah.
People of
All
God.
of the
It's just
atheists.
people of God, that word.
So
Everyone
many
has some
words in my
No, we
mouth.
have
superiority.
to, we have to be understanding even those who do not
Okay.
worship God or something
Okay.
like that. Anyways,
All right, that's just a saying though.
well, looking at the papers this morning, there's a whole lot, on the front pages, and we'll be starting off from the front page of the Standard Times. We have Nigeria exceeds OPEC quota as crude oil output hits 74-month high. Now, starts on the front page, continues on page two. Serap sues INEC over failure to probe alleged 800 billion naira FAC diversion for campaign funding. Starts on the front page, continues on page three. Probe all Kano Microfinance Bank group urges Governor Yusuf. That's on page two. Loma suspends street sweeper over alleged. PDP upholds presidential NAS candidates to INEC portal. Page three. KWDC receives 15 billion naira, unveils major projects for 30,000 farmers and 10,000 youths. Page three. FG arrests two suspected illegal miners, shuts down illegal gold mining site in Osun. Page 8. Edo LG poll, APC sweeps 18 chairmanship, 192 councillorship seats. Page 2. INEC extends deadline for 2027 candidate submission to July 14. That's on page 11. Above the nameplate of the Standard Times. Operation Kosaye, police arrest 43 suspects, recover hard drugs in Morocco. Page 8. We have LASMA captured 38,000 traffic offenders in quarter 2 2026. That's on page 8. And FG begins 12 MW solar mini grid for 13,000 river homes. Complete Uniport hybrid plant. All right, so that's the front page of the Standard Time.
All right, on Observer's Time, standing out, we have Rolls Royce, Maybach are fine, but help the poor. Remi Tinubu, that's the wife of the president, tells the video and Wonder Boy. That's on page 2. Alleged fake agency scam. Police to arraign Adeniyi Adeyemi on Tuesday. Stories on page 3. Notorious Zamfara bandit leader Sani Yellow killed in ambush. Stories on page 6. 50,000 naira exam fees will make WAEC and NECO exclusive to wealthy families, says Atiku. Stories on page 7. INEC extends deadline for submission of presidential NAS candidates. Stories on page 4. And finally, woman slumped, dies in Cross River commercial bus. Stories on page 20. That's it on Observer's Times.
Do that on YouTube. Rain Power Abuja. All right, moving on to the Daily Asset newspaper. The big story says Christian clerics demand tougher actions against insecurity nationwide. Right after the story, freed Orire pupils begin recovery. Catholic bishops, Christian Association of Nigeria seek trauma care and rehabilitation for them. That's on page 2 of the Daily Asset newspaper. Now move on from Oyo to Abuja. Uni Abuja promotes 34 academic staff to professional ranks. Okay, you might want to find out who and details of that on page 4 of the Daily Asset this morning. Coordinated fresh headsmen attack on Benue communities sadly kill 18 people. Angry youth dump corpses at Ochidoma's Palace, barricade Otupo Road. Um, Alia orders security agencies to hunt down the killers. Now that opens on the front page and continues on page 2. Swine fever hits Plateau State, and not just that, but kills thousands of pigs. Talking about businesses going down. That is on page 16 of the Daily Assets newspaper. And above the nameplate, Lawal targets 2,000 jobs, unveils $200 million lithium processing plant in Zamfara State. Opens on the front page as well and continues on page 2. And that's about it from the daily assets this morning.
All right, now to the Whistler, we have US-Iran conflict fuels 111% 6-month surge in Nigeria energy stocks. Nigeria meets 104% of OPEC quota as production soars. Crude oil production hits 74-month high. Pages 10 and 14 covers that. 2027, INEC extends deadline for candidates list submission. PDP faction upholds presidential. NAS candidates to INEC portal. Page 3 and 7. We also have Oti Others Rehabilitation of Ironseas Primary School Road, page 17. FIFA opens door to 64-team World Cup in 2030. Page 20 says Mbappe leads Messi despite equal golden boot goals, page 19, and that's because of this. Mbappe has more assists than Lionel Messi. And hopefully Nigeria can get qualified for the World Cup next time. Troops kill ISWAP cameraman, recover. Also, how South African woman used toddler to cut on page 7. Nigeria missed global maths competition over lack of invitations. Page 6, that's coming from the MG. And Obi comments Cardozo-led CBN monetary policy reforms, says fiscal policies fueling economic crisis. Page 9, and that's the Whistler.
All right, moving on to Daily Sun, top in the headlines. Atiku slams federal government over increase in WAEC NECO fees. Says government is making education more expensive for Nigerians. Stories on page 25. Owerri school children. Security sources reveal how abductors' wives and kids' arrest paved way for rescue. How joint forces made them waste ammunition before final onslaught. You can read all of that on page 6. ICPC to arraign ex-minister Naji today. PFIPC DG Adeniyi tomorrow. Stories on page 30. Rescue other Nigerians in captivity in Borno, Katsina, and others. Khan tells federal government. Stories on page 18. Engage Obi in debate, says Umahi. That's story 10. And finally, first floating LNG UTM offshore targets September final investment decision. That's about it on the Daily Sun.
All right, let's check out the daily newscraft ahead of 2027 candidate list. Political parties are in frantic moves to meet INEC new deadline. PDP, APC upload candidates to portal. NDC, SDP report progress. NNPP battles leadership dispute. That is, it seems as if they have more to cover and more grounds on that. But that story opens on the front page of the daily newscraft this morning and continues on page 2. Talking about what's happening in the political space, Tinubu's Muslim ticket risk Christian backlash. This statement is coming from APC chieftain, and it's like a warning. Well, we've already seen that earlier. Just find out details on that story on page 10. Suspected reprisal attack leaves several dead after MacBan chairman's murder. Page 4 is talking about developments in Benue State. Bus driver, conductor snatched rifle from police officer. Story on page 4 of the Daily Newscraft today. Federal government over proposed fee. NECO fee. Page 11 read there. Now, plates NDPHC begins restoration of 225 megawatts gas plant 6 years after fire destruction. Okay, opens on the front page, continues on page 4, and that's about it from the Daily Newscraft today.
All right, now to Al Jazeera Nigeria. Fresh killings in Benue. Protesters storm Ochidoma's palace with ICPC urges collective action against corruption in Africa. That's on page 5. Ponzi scheme victims can seek legal remedies. That's from lawyers on page 7. We also have alleged fake PFIPC. Police to arraign Adeyemi tomorrow. Page 20. Reactions trail reduced vehicle import duties. Page 12. Why Tinubu retained Shetima as vice presidential candidate. That's from presidency on page 21. FGOK's 82% WAEC NECO exam fees hike, page 7. And Obi comments CBN monetary policy reforms, page 15. That's Al Jazeera, Nigeria.
All right, moving on to the Daily Monitor. We have alleged fake agency scam. Police to arraign Adeniyi Adeyemi on Tuesday. That's resurfacing again on Daily Monitor. And that story you can read on page 5. Oire release, heal trauma, not just secure freedom. Catholic bishops urge government. Charge federal government, states to find lasting solution to protracted incursion of bandits, kidnappers into communities. Stories on page 3. INEC extends deadline for submission of candidates list by 3 days. Opposition's failure to meet INEC deadline shows it's unprepared for 2027, says APC. That's it on the Daily Monitor.
All right, let's check out the Daily Independent. Big story: Nigeria's economic recovery, leaving millions behind, according to a report. I'm talking about economic paradox there. The recovery is actually leaving millions behind in poverty. Well, that opens on the front page and continues on page 2. APC sweeps Edo Council polls, win all 18 chairmanship seats. Page. E-payment fraud losses drop, but advanced cyber tactics rise. Opens on the front page and continues on page 2. Two other stories here. Says Wike-led PDP uploads presidential NAS candidates to INEC portal. Does it mean we're expecting another led PDP to upload theirs as well? Huge question there. That's on page 7 of the Daily Independent. Khan hails Oyo Pupils Rescue, urges total freedom for all hostages. Page 6, read there. And condemnations mount over new 50,000 naira WAEC. Daily Independent is concerned today and continues on page 29. And following that, Serap rather, sues INEC over alleged 800 billion naira FAAC fund diversion by APC governors. That opens on the front page and continues on page 2. And that's it from the Daily Independent.
Right now to the Nigerian pilots, we have alleged diversion of 800 billion naira. Serap sues INEC. Asked courts to compel INEC to investigate alleged diversion of 800 billion naira FAC funds by APC governors. Page 8. Insecurity worsens in Benue as suspected armed headsmen kill 18 people. Page 5. Alleged fake agency scam. Police arraign Adeyemi on Tuesday. Page 5. Police arrest 3 women for alleged child trafficking in Anambra. Page 7. Soldiers kill ISWAP cameraman, recover camera, expose foreign operatives in Borno. Page 9. We also have Igbo leaders warn against suppressing opposition ahead of 2027 elections. Page 10. Over 33 HIV treatments in Niger State. Page 25. And that's what we will continue to encourage as well. Take your medication as these figures continue to rise in different parts of the country. We also have NDLEA arrest South African woman with heroin at Abuja Airport. Page 7. And that's the front page of the Nigerian pilot.
Lastly, on my end, we have disclosure news. Price concerns as Iran threatens another closure. Article kicks as federal government raises WAEC NECO exam. That story is also facing again. Story is on page 7. Serap drags INEC to court, seeks investigation of alleged diversion of 800 billion naira from FAC for APC campaign. APC kicks as INEC extends date uploading of candidates list, says extension follows appeal by IPAC and opposition not ready for 2027 election, ruling party slammed. That story is on page 2. Jubilation examiner as notorious terror kingpin Kachala Yellow is killed. Protest in Benue over recent terrorist killings. Governor Alia, Senator Moro condemned killings. Task federal government to deploy security to rescue abducted students of Musa and Lassa communities. Stories on page 2. ICPC chairman urges collective action to raise integrity anti-corruption efforts in Africa. Stories on page 7. And finally, PDP uploads candidates list on INEC portal. That's it on disclosure news.
All right, let's wrap up with the GWG.NG newspaper. The presidency takes swipe as Peter Obi over Umahi debate challenge. Goes on the front page and continues on page 3. Now, NDLEA nabbed South African woman with 5.75 kilograms of heroin just barely days after, the South African minister said Nigeria is the drug hub, for all of that. Now, that happens in Nigeria, that focus on the front page continues on page 3. Mutfwang's blueprint for turning Plateau potato into rural wealth. You might want to find out what that is, and that's on page 4. Notorious Northwest Bandit commander Kachala killed, according to sources. That's on page 4. And APC wins all 18 local governments as PDP, NDC, ADC boycott Edo local government polls. This one in detail is on page 2. And lastly, which is one that is quite interesting and happening in the sports field, is Cardi B, Nigerian-born world's sexiest footballer. I don't know who got that result, but that's what they said here. Turned heads. You want to read details on that, go to the GWNG this morning and read it on page 10. And that's it for the papers. And the ones that we've checked out here, the GWNG, the Daily Newscraft, Daily Independent, as well as the Daily Assets.
All right, we also looked at Observer's Times, the Daily Sun, Daily Monitor, and Disclosure News.
Yeah, Standard Times, the Whistler, Al Jazeera Nigeria, Nigerian pilots as well. Well, on the front page this morning, I think both of you have stories on that. Papers on the Obi Umahi debate thing, and I begin to wonder, like, what are we doing here? Why is a minister the one wanting to debate somebody who's running for the presidency?
Before you
If you
even
want
get to
to-
that, why is the presidency, the seat of power, really interested in this kind of a thing?
But no, to be honest, we actually, as a people, need to be interested in debates. It should be a standard procedure in our electoral process. Governors, if you're running for office, there should be debates. If you're running for presidency, there should be debates. I mean, we used to have it in the past. I've seen videos of likes of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, in debate. Jonathan and Co, in debate.
Even
Former
the-
President Buhari, before he became president, went for debates. It should be a normal thing, but not a minister wanting to challenge somebody who's running for
And
presidency.
Peter Obi had already
Because-
said, if you are running for presidency, then we can
Yes,
talk.
I mean,
Yeah,
because
we can
if I'm
understand,
debating you,
but
it's a waste of my
not
time.
the
Exactly.
minister to.
It's a waste of my time. You're
But
not
I'm
the boss
still
of
having
the
the concern
government.
why the presidency is. It's like anything happening, any question, any kind of uproar in the political space, you see the presidency weighing into it. Why?
I mean, they should let the man be. You're not the person who's running for office for the APC. So why do you want to debate him, to tell us what? If you're okay, for example, now you debate him and you floor him in the debate, are your ideas or whatever you're presenting in the debate going to be what's going to be translated if the APC wins the election come? Are you speaking for the president in the debate?
You
So,
understand?
I mean, I don't know
I
what we are
wonder
doing
why
here.
that, and the papers reporting it as the presidency taking a swipe at it. It's like, okay, PPP, are you guys not ready? Do you know what to
I
do
don't
this?
know. I
or
don't
that?
know what we're doing here.
In my conclusion, Nigerian politics.
That shouldn't even be how politics is played. We don't see
Well,
Donald Trump
that is-
going to. Donald Trump did not debate somebody in Joe Biden's cabinet or whatever. Debate the candidate, your fellow candidates.
You
Let
know?
us, if you
Let's
don't want
have
to
it
debate,
out.
let it rest. But a very sad one is the fact that WAEC and NECO fees have gone up again. We're already complaining that people are being pushed out in
We
terms
have
of
dropouts.
education.
And we're trying, and the government says that they are trying to make education accessible to all.
Yes. So why are we increasing these
Yeah.
fees?
WAEC,
At the
WAEC
moment,
and
people have to pay for WAEC, pay for NECO, pay for JAM, fees that are, going up. I mean, I don't know how.
By the term,
I don't know,
somebody
just
released
figure it out.
a video on social media about one of the best schools. That school, it was in Lagos, but if you see the field, it's like a standard, like the sports field, it's like a standard football pitch. Compare very well, very good, adequate. But when we saw the price, for a
That's
term.
another thing. I
We're
mean,
talking
to know
about
that
50 something, 20 something million.
for what?
But
For the whole
like, yeah, and one academic session or is it one
A
term?
private school
Yeah, is it private?
in Lagos.
Is it,
Yeah, I saw it. I
I
It
remember-
is 20 million naira.
I said 24.
I think I was a bit critical of it.
Okay.
It's even more than 24.
I said 50 something for an entire
So-
session, but
And they have
24
students,
for a
students go
term.
there.
They were even advertising the school. The child was about, after my PE, I go to class, we're building robotics, and I'm like, hey, these are all good, though. But how much am I supposed to pay you?
No, if you can afford it, fine. But what I feel is when you look at countries, that we try to imitate, trying to be like developed countries. You look at the US, you look at China, you look at UK. What you saw in that private school is what you have in their public
Ordinarily in
schools.
their public school.
So
That's
we
why
need
I'm
to
going
develop
to.
our public schools.
Exactly.
And also, education should be for all. But when you keep increasing
They're
prices of
accessible.
these exams, there are people who are not going to be able to write this exam, who are not going to have
Definitely.
pursued their dreams, of getting to the highest level when it comes to education. So I think this is one thing the federal government as well needs to.
And trying to
to
encourage,
consider.
and in fact, it's a little bit contradictory because when you see some statements coming from our leaders saying we want to have the 9-3-4 system, so when you're done with the third, you just have to encourage yourself to move into the tertiary institution. Now, if a student finishes with SS3 and wants to write JAM, and this is a bit difficult for them to get the money or prepare, knowing that once they pass that JAM, they have a whole lot more to pay in order to get into school. It's like, okay, let me use 1 year to work, or let me use to learn something, and then I move into this. And then by the time you see them doing that, the person will just work for 1 year and say, okay, let me try another 1 year. And before you know it, this person had started to postpone going to school, maybe for life. And is this encouragement or discouragement?
82%
Definitely.
I think it's
too,
too high.
it's
It's
too
too high.
much.
Too much.
Please,
It's
I mean,
too high.
and then talking about the increment, this is definitely going to throw some state governments into tantrum. Like we have Lagos State government, for instance, fee of WAEC. For some parents that can afford to, this is not going to be easy on them. It's going to be a whole lot because this is so much money, and then we're talking to thousands of students.
And to think that the reason given to this is just to maintain operational realities. You are the government.
Let's be
We could
realistic.
do better. Yes, operational realities was not caused by these children. Can't you help us? Can't you make it
Everybody
easier?
wants to make more.
Operational realities should be realistic. That's
Well, just away from the WAEC and ECHO issue, Serap raising an issue once again about funding for elections, funding of elections, funds meant to work for Nigerians, being diverted to run campaigns for elections and all of that. So that's another concern, that we have, and it's always something that Serap, even the opposition, has always talked about, that those who are in government, usually because they have access to a whole lot of funds, so they are going to be able to use those monies against the opposition. The oppositions cannot match up, with what they do with those monies. And what are those monies being, used for? So I think INEC, Sarah suing INEC to be able to step in, and make checks and balances to ensure that funds are not diverted, to run elections, which is, very important. Yeah, we know elections are run with money, but it shouldn't be monies meant to work for Nigerians,
To
meant
develop
for
the
projects.
state.
Yes, it shouldn't be.
Infrastructure,
I mean,
yeah.
you can have funding for the way it's done out there. People, donate, you get funding from your support and all of that. So, but it's very important that we do not have a situation like that where governance is set aside, money is meant for governance, and then put into politics.
One thing to look at for now is to know whether INEC will actually react at the end of the day with the courts even
another
take
thing.
oh, you brought it compel INEC like Serap is demanding to look into this matter. Will they do it, or will it be maybe another statement of coming to defend the matter, or one thing or the other that will make the whole thing linger for a long time?
Or die
And
down
before you
instantly.
can know, yes, exactly, another development has come to suppress this one. And Nigerians, it seems as if we're so good at looking at the moment and not trying to follow a matter through to the end. Usually, when the new one drops, you just leave the other one. Even if you bring that one up, somebody will be like, that one don't pass. Let's face something else.
Let's face the
let's see how that will really happen. Yes.
Yeah, before we go, sad one with Benue. My heart goes out to the people of Benue once again, under the spotlight for the wrong reasons, insecurity. 18, 19 people losing their lives. So we've gotten to a situation where the people of Benue, the children of Benue, it's like their life now, gunshots, killings, and all of that. When will that change? When is that story going to change? It's very sad.
Yeah, indeed, very sad. But let us just wrap it up here. You can always check out the papers on your own time during, the day and just get to, know what's happening. But we'll definitely be here tomorrow with the dailies of tomorrow to just let you know. It's always what we do here. Thank you so much for being a part of this one. My name is Dima.
I'm Chooks.
And I'm Nice one. Have a lovely day, people of God.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a must be speaking.
I didn't understand.
It's a must be speaking. Thank you guys on YouTube.
Wait, see, I need to be sure. This one, like, send and find.
Please, let me call him. He should be inside there. Before I go and close it totally, you should come and close it. Put up this thing. It's good that they're experiencing this 4 a.m. because they make you feel like. No, that he's complaining now. Waking up. I'm saying it's good that they're experiencing it. That's not necessary. I don't want to close it now. Stop. Before